Welcome back to another episode of Thinking Caps, and this week, Google thinks it may have found a replacement for the third-party cookie. It's called FLoC. I might call it FLOP. Let's dig in and see what you need to know about it. Okay, Rich, Google, big news. It's all over AdAge this week, late January. You're a resident expert here on cookies. What do we need to know about this?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So Google is experimenting with an ad targeting technology called FLoC, which interesting, that uses Chrome to analyze users' browsing histories and place them into groups with similar browsing habits, right? And the tech giant says that, FLoC, which stands for Federated Learning of Cohorts, could replace third-party cookies, and says advertisers can expect to see around 95% of the conversions per dollar spent when compared to cookie-based advertising for reaching, in-market and affinity audiences. So that naturally, was big news in AdAge. I think it's really important because it shows the state that the ad tech industry is in when, front page, it might be less effective or 95% effective. And it still mines all a consumer's data.
Yeah.
And it's from Chrome, right? And, I don't know about you, but the privacy issues, I've installed Brave. Loads of other people have moved off Chrome. Precisely this is because you can't trust, if you're privacy conscious, you can't trust Google to be responsible with data.
Yeah.
All they're really doing here is saying we're going to mine all your entire browsing data.
Yep.
We're just going to anonymize it.
Yep.
But that's not what consumers want based on the research that we've done with eConsultancy and others, which is consumer-based research looking at their attitudes around privacy and data. I mean, consumers couldn't be more clear around this. They don't want to be tracked.
So, why such a Band-Aid? What do you think's going on here with Google? I mean, they're the ones who are announced cookies are going away. Is this a Band-Aid, or do you think this is a sustainable path in the future?
There's a lot of pressure on them with cookies being deprecated because of privacy concerns and, legislation around the world around privacy to come up with something that advertisers can use, which isn't going to impact the letter of the law, right? And so what I look at Google FLoC is that is something which is designed to get around the letter of the law. It certainly doesn't meet in any stretch with any kind of reading of consumer attitudes around privacy. So even if it's not going to get you fined and you can go ahead legislative-wise, you still have this issue of you're going against
you're not meeting consumer demand.
No, exactly.
So what's the conclusion here? Let's sum up. What should brand marketers be thinking about, and what should they be considering?
Well, I think the number one sort of takeaway from this is that marketers need to not rely on, hoping for the next cookie Band-Aid.
There's going to be more for sure.
I'm sure there will, and this is Google's version, but rather than wait on that, take the inevitable conclusion, which is I need to take ownership over data around my own consumers. I need to build up my own consumer database. I need to have direct connections to my customers. I need to build up my own insights around who are the people that buy from me and why, because you can always load up your own customer data into the advertising platforms and do lookalike audiences, and we're seeing that being very, very effective at the moment.
It absolutely works. All right, let's move on. We're 3.5 minutes in. I have something that I want to bring up. Gartner just had another great webinar where they talk about CMO's top strategic priorities this year, right? And there's some interesting stats here. There's a very, very clear trend, as you can see from this graph, that 73% of CMOs will be focusing on their existing markets to fuel their growth in 2021. So that's pretty obvious to me. I mean, we've always said and we've known you can get more money out of your customers. It's less expensive to get more revenue from your existing customers. What do you see as the trend happening here? What do marketers need to think about?
As marketers are already saying in this report, they're going to focus on their existing customers. how do you actually do that, I guess, is the best way of sort of thinking. And, we've had a long held belief that the best way for you to do marketing to your own customers is to better understand them as individuals and market to them based on, what they've done across all of your different channels and where they are in the customer journey with you. We also know from the same Gartner research and the webinar they recently did, which is not unsurprising, that one of the top priorities that CMOs are going to be doing in 2021 is reinventing their loyalty programs. Right? And loyalty programs traditionally are at the heart of your customer program. So it's quite interesting to see that is a top priority for reinvention. And why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, loyalty is where it's at, whether that's points-based, emotional, bringing all the data you have on them, behavior, their preferences, zero-party data, et cetera. Strong loyalty.
Yeah, and really let's underline data, because what the loyalty programs always do, they give you huge amounts of data around your customers and insights on how they're buying, why they're buying, and what type of individuals they are, which is going to help you get around the cookie issue, because you get all this rich first-party data and this audience information of who the best customers are that you can load up to the platforms for lookalike audiences.
Well, when you start talking about data and customer data and zero-party data, that segues into the next thing that we wanted to talk about. Two cool stats here around personalization and next-generation personalization. I know you have a great stance on this and a great way to kind of elevator speak what next-gen personalization is. Why don't you give us a little bit of that, and then I'll reveal these two stats that I think are very interesting.
Well, next-gen personalization really comes around to this concept of, as Seth Godin said at Signals, personalization is about being personal.
Yep.
So we're talking about a segment of one.
Yeah.
That's really what next-generation personalization is. And it's only possible if you really have actionable data. That you're collecting the right data around your customers, and that data is truly actionable. That's how you deliver next generation personalization, because you can, through the algorithms, through the machine learning, through the decisioning, through all these data points coming in of all your interactions around your customers, understand what's the right message or the right offer on the right channel to that individual customer,
right person,
knowing where they are in that customer journey, right? And that's what next generation personalization really is. And that's why in our customer engagement suite at Cheetah Digital, all of our applications are built off an engagement data platform, which is, an enhanced CDP with more direct integration to those applications, so that marketers really can deliver this marketing to the segment of one.
Yeah, and look, here are two stats that back all of this up. 91% of consumers say that they are more likely to shop with brands that provide offers and recommendations that are relevant to them. The individual person, the John Doe, the Jane Doe, etc. The second one is real-time personalized offers and content can be 10 times more effective than traditional marketing campaigns. And that's from Gartner. And we can back that up because we have a client, the Salling Group. There's a great client success story where they talked about bringing real-time personalization into their loyalty app at a grocery and retail, and they're getting a 10 times lift in engagement. There's a $13 billion retailer who's doing quite well. It's not like they're going from zero to hero.
My sort of takeaway here is, don't wait for the cookie band-aid. Build out direct connections to your own customers, learn about those customers, deliver next generation personalization by making all of your marketing data actionable, and deliver marketing based on that sort of segment of one, right? That's the future. Yep. And lastly, I'd say it's very interesting that we have almost two diverging things going on. Ad tech, because of privacy, is going away from being able to do the segment of one to much broader kind of interest-based segments because of privacy. Yet you as a marketer with your own customer programs, with the technology around CDPs and next generation personalization, can do the segment of one. So where do you want to place your money?
March 9th, we have an amazing webinar with Richard on a new global study we've done, 5,000 plus consumer recipients, again, talking about their attitudes towards privacy, social, email, multi-channel, loyalty, etc. You're going to want to not miss that on March 9th. You can go to cheetahdigital.com for details and register. And the second one is we have coming, we're working in partnership with AdAge on a brand marketer survey. So we talked about personalization, the hurdles, the data. Do you have the expertise? Do you have the right technology? We will have a survey result that will tell you exactly what your peers are struggling with. So, you know you're not alone in that boat of trying to personalize and get the right data. That's coming down the pipe too. Well, there you go. 3 big topics you need to know. We've got a lot more coming, and we appreciate you watching Thinking Caps, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, cheetahdigital.com, Apple, etc. We'll be back next time with more info you need to know.